What is up, YouTube? It's Tracy, aka Lil Jitsu again, here to talk about how to get the most out of training as a white belt versus as a colored belt. Okay, now this is a concept that I didn't develop. I saw a post on Facebook that kind of talked about this, and when I read it, it automatically resonated with me. I understood at a fundamental level that this is what I believed, and so I'm sharing it with you guys. Basically, it's the concept of the 80-20 rule. So there are two types of training, at least, that I've categorized for the sake of this video. The first type of training is the rigid structure, or heavily structured training. This is going to consist of your static drilling, where your instructor is in the front of class, shows a move, and then you go back with the non-resisting partner and drill that move back and forth. This is also like question and answer type of drilling, where you're asking your instructor specific questions for specific action, specific positions or reactions that help you problem solve. So non-resisting. The other type of training is categorized into the organized chaos portion. This is going to be your rounds, your sparring, your positional sparring. The part of training which is the most exhausting but also the most fun, usually. So the way that I look at it is basically, as a white belt, 80% of your training should be the rigid structure training. You should be drilling specific movements from specific positions so that you can understand the primary goals of each position. Ultimately, if you roll and you don't know where to go from most positions, your rounds are going to be completely purposeless. You're not going to know what to do, it's going to feel pointless, and you're just going to get styled on by whoever you're rolling with, considering that they know more than you. So that's why I believe 80% of training as a beginner should be focused on the specific techniques, the specific movements in each position. On the other hand, the other 20% of training should be organized chaos. You cannot get better unless you experience what it's like to roll with someone who knows what they're doing. You're going to get smashed, you're going to get crushed, but you're going to pick up movements and reactions that you literally can't be taught by your instructor. It's going to feel uncertain, it's going to feel ambiguous, you're not going to know what exactly to do in a lot of this organized chaos drilling, but being in those situations is going to kind of help you learn trial by fire, right? It's trial and error. A lot of times in Jiu Jitsu, you are rolling and you try something and it fails and it's instant feedback. You understand, you're like, okay, well I did this and this happened. And that helps you learn. And that's not present in the heavily structured portion of training where you're just drilling a specific move from a specific reaction. You need to get that instant feedback in order to improve. But the organized chaos should not be the main chunk of your time spent drilling or training. Now, on the colored belt side of things, looking at colored belt training, being a colored belt, you have a deeper grasp of Jiu Jitsu. You understand the basic goals and primary goals from almost every position. There will still be things, submissions, positions that you get placed in that you're not sure what to do from in the earlier colored belts, but in general, you know what to do and what not to do from most places. 20% of your drilling in this case should be the organized, rigid structure training. You're still going to need to learn different moves. You still need to try and develop your skills and learn new things. Otherwise, you're going to, just get stagnant and focus on the same 3 techniques every single round, and that won't help you improve very quickly. The other 80% of your training should be the organized chaos. You should be looking for positional sparring. You should be looking for rounds. You should be looking for sweep or submit. The parts of training that are generally harder and more exhausting, but this is the time when you can take full advantage of the trial and error and immediate feedback that you get from rounds. That's not to say just go roll, because that's not necessarily going to benefit you either. If you just do rounds and focus on your main favorite techniques every single time, you're not going to get much better. You will improve, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to expand your game and you're not going to expand your knowledge because you're focusing on the same things every time. So when it comes time for the organized chaos, the 80% of your drilling as a color belt, you should be picking specific things that you want to work on from specific positions, whether it's a certain pass, a certain submission, a certain sweep. You need to focus on those things and say, okay, this is one of my weaknesses, or I want to get better at this specific move, so this is what I'm going to go for in all of my rounds this week or today or whatever your timeline is. That way you can expand your jiu-jitsu knowledge and really get the full benefit of the immediate feedback that jiu-jitsu provides. When I started jiu-jitsu, I rolled every single day. I went to every fundamentals class, which is mostly drilling, and then I went to every advanced class, which was mostly like a short portion of drilling and mostly rounds or sweep or submit. And I didn't do this because I had this idea in my mind, but I did it because I figured the more time on the mat, the better. And that's, as a general rule of thumb, you can just follow that rule and you will get better at jiu-jitsu. But I think that by doing more rounds as a beginner, I improved a lot faster, even though I had no freaking idea what I was doing. I was flailing around like a fish out of water. Thank goodness for my partners who were patient with me. But because of that, I felt, colored belts' hip switches. I felt their movements. I felt different reactions that I wasn't being taught in fundamentals class that maybe there wasn't time for, or that I didn't really even think to ask because I didn't have that knowledge. And by feeling those things, my body, subconsciously picked up on those reactions and actions, and I learned whether or not I was thinking about it. So this concept I try to encourage people to think about, because if you don't deal with the chaos, if you just drill over and over and over again and never roll, you're not going to get good at jiu-jitsu. You've got to do it. You've got to try it and experience the full resistance of a active partner. And on the other hand, as a colored belt, if you just do rounds and you never drill or focus on learning new techniques, your jiu-jitsu is going to get stale, and eventually your rolling partners are going to learn your game and they're going to stop you, which, it's going to make jiu-jitsu less fun for you. But no matter what, guys, just remember, the more that you're on the mat, the better you get. This is just a concept that you can take to training so that you get the most out of your drilling time or the most out of your gym time. Who doesn't want to get better at a skill faster? It's better to focus your efforts accordingly in the best way possible in order to improve as fast as possible and be the most efficient with your time. So if you guys like this concept or have experienced this in your training, please let me know in the comments below. Also, give me suggestions on what I should talk about in future videos. It really helps me. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I appreciate it. And stay consistent. Go train, guys.